This is the latest edition of Front Up, and I'm Whitey Willauer, and I've got a great guest today, Rich Brannigan. Rich, good to have you here.
Nice to see you, Whitey.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Right. When does the Sea Grill open?
That's the $64,000 question. That question is probably more important than anything at town meeting right now. We're looking at next week, middle of next week. But I think the real reason you have me here is you want to discuss my March Madness picks, right? And we're going to talk about basketball?
Wait a minute, no. We weren't planning on that.
I'm picking Kansas all the way. I got it right here.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm glad you made up your mind. But beyond that, yeah, I've got you in here, or we've got you in here for the CPC to untangle what's been going on there, because you've been getting a lot of airtime.
I have been getting a lot of airtime, more airtime than I would like. But I'm delighted to be here this morning to help untangle the web for you.
Well, tell me, I guess you got two major issues.
Yeah. Article 31 is our normal appropriation article.
Right.
And for the first time in the 10 years that the CPC has been in existence,
let's explain what the CPC is first.
It's the Community Preservation Committee.
Yeah. And
it's a 9-member committee. We've been in existence for just about 10 years, a little bit more than 10 years. And over that time frame, we've awarded over $25 million to various organizations on Nantucket, all in the area of preservation, conservation, affordable housing, and open space recreation.
Right.
And probably 30 to 40 projects over a 10-year period.
Where does that money come from?
It's a 3% surcharge on our local real estate tax. So if you have a $2,000 tax bill, you contribute $60 a year. That generates about $2 million a year, and then we get a state match from the Registry of Deeds. And initially, we had a 100% match from the state, but because of the economy and the number of communities who are now on board with the CPA, our match is probably now about 25 to 30%. So all told, we probably have a revenue stream of about $2.5 million a year to award to the projects in the 3 major categories that I mentioned.
So what's happened with that article is that it's before the town to discuss how you allocate. In other words, we get the money anyway. It's just how is it allocated? Right.
Every year, our mandate is to reach out to the community and to solicit proposals for projects in those 3 areas. We evaluate those proposals. We ask the applicants to come in. We interview them. We meet them. We discuss the merits of their application, and then our committee comes forth and puts forth our warrant, and we basically divvy up the money to the projects that we feel are most worthwhile and most needy. And the beauty of
needy or deserving?
Deserving.
Okay.
Deserving.
Yeah.
The beauty of the whole program is that once we've made our decision, it goes in front of town meeting, and the voters have the final say because it's their tax dollars that are at work. Mm-hmm. So we present our warrant, and the voters, if they wanted to discuss any of those projects, they could discuss it. And this year, for the first time, FinCom has opted not to recommend one of our appropriations for affordable housing, the project known as Sacham's Path.
So they've done that, and but that's just a recommendation.
That's right.
Yeah, and then their recommendation is put before the voters.
That's right.
And it's up to the voters to decide whether they would accept that.
To reinstate it or to go against FinCom's recommendation. And my committee, and we feel that the voters are going to support this project because of the merits of the project.
Is it just a majority vote, or is it a 2/3 vote?
Amongst the voters?
Yes.
It'll be a majority vote.
So it's less of a problem than an appropriation.
That's right.
Even though money is being given.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we're hoping for a good turnout to hear this debate, and it's going to be a good debate. We presented this to FinCom probably on 2 different occasions, both in December and in January, we spent over 3 hours discussing the merits of this proposal with them. Myself, Ken Bogran, who's the chair of the CPC, along with Giselle and Renee, who are the proponents of the applicant.
Yeah, Giselle works for the
Housing Assistance Corporation.
Yeah.
And Renee Seeley is the Nantucket Housing Authority.
So the housing assistant, they are going to be the developers.
They are the developer, and the Nantucket Housing Authority put out an RFP, and housing assistants answered the RFP and were selected as the developer. And I think we're extremely fortunate to have the Housing Assistance Corporation on this project, because this project, but more importantly, this proposal, was the most complete, thorough, buttoned-up proposal that I have seen in any category over the 10 years that I've been involved in the CPC. So it's an organization who knows what they're doing, and at the end of the day, we're going to have a great completed project in the area of affordable housing that Nantucketers, our community, needs.
Now, you brought that up, and there's been a lot of pushback in the community about affordable housing at this point in time, because there's plenty of housing around that isn't being rented and such.
Right.
And I guess it's a difficult time to be bringing this forward in this economic downturn.
One of the things that we really liked about this project was the time frame of which this was going to happen. We're not looking at 40 completed homes in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
This project will be rolled out between the next 3 to 10 years. So obviously the economic situation and the market conditions are going to be different as we go out. So we're going to be looking at a project that's going to be rolled out, and at that point in time, we're taking the longer view that the market conditions are going to be much different than they are today.
So you're going to build the houses as the need is there. You're not going to build all the houses at once.
No.
So if the market doesn't demand it, you're not going to build the houses.
Right. This application that's before us this year is for the infrastructure. Last year, the CPC awarded and the town approved over $700,000 to the Housing Assistance Corporation for this project. That was the initial seed money for the permitting, the design, the development of this project. So basically, this debate should have been held a year ago. So the cart is out of the barn. So we've given money, money's been expended, and now they're coming for the second phase, which is the infrastructure. Once the infrastructure is in, then the Housing Assistance Corporation and they've already started this, they will pre-qualify potential homeowners who fit the parameters of the income qualifications and their evaluations. Once they've identified that segment of the market, and that candidate is selected, then that candidate will go to the bank and will get be pre-qualified for a mortgage. Once the mortgage is in place for that buyer, they will start to build.
Now, why are you giving money to the developer to develop the infrastructure? Doesn't the developer generally build the infrastructure?
Well, that's all part of the project. That helps reduce the total cost. So you're looking at a project where The housing authority has the title to the land.
I see.
So there's no cost to the land. We're providing the upfront money. Last year was the permitting and the design. This year is the infrastructure. So at that point, all we're then dealing with is the actual build of the project. So these homes are going to be priced in the range of I'm going to say 200 to 500,000. So instead of that first-time home buyer looking at their first home at 700 to $1 million, they're going to be looking at something that's going to be much more attainable when you look at the down payment and that's required, and when you look at the potential of their monthly mortgage. So they're going to be in a much greater position of which to put down roots, have a family, and commit to the community that they want to reside in.
Now, they put the money down, and yet, let's say there's an appreciation in value. Can they take advantage if they want to sell of the appreciated value?
There's a restriction. These homes will always be deemed affordable. So at no point will those homes be market-driven homes. So the only thing that they will realize is the cost of living increase, but not the market increase. And they will also have the deduction on their 1040s.
So it's tied to the cost of living.
That's right.
Increase, which is probably going to be appreciable.
Right. 3 to 5%, but not market-driven homes.
I know my house. My grandfather built it in 1931. It's sort of followed the cost of living increase, or actually the inflation increase.
Yep.
And it's tracked that for 70 years, and there isn't a bump up
right.
because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The other aspect that we really enjoyed about this project. And what made this application even stronger this year was that they collaborated with Habitat for Humanity. So 4 of the 40 are Habitat lots.
Oh, okay. So the Habitat has the opportunity of building houses.
That's right.
On the 40. Are any of them market-driven houses?
Habitat? No.
No. Any of the overall 40?
No, they're all affordable. They're all affordable at the 60 to 150% of the AMI. The AMI is the average medium income, which is right around $100,000.
Of Nantucket?
Of Nantucket.
Not of the state?
Not of the state.
So it's a Nantucket-based. Yeah, okay.
It's a Nantucket-based average medium income.
So if this is turned down, what plans do you have? Or what happens?
It's going to make the project much more difficult to become a reality. So I believe Housing Assistance Corporation is still committed to it, but it's going to take much longer to generate the monies from other sources to get it off the ground.
Oh, so they guarantee, or the whole idea is the infrastructure would be paid for. And
that's right. That's right. This application that's before us is just short of $1 million, which would cover the infrastructure. So without that commitment, they obviously could come back to us next year for maybe a different amount of money. If this isn't supported this year, or they could go off and attempt to get it from state and federal grants. But those sources and those processes are longer and more cumbersome than what we're dealing with here today.
So if you've got 40 houses there and you got $1 million, that's $25,000 per house. So the value of the house might go up by 10%, 5 to 10%. Is my math too fast for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why is that a big deal?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. It's an essential component of the development of the project.
But if the project paid for the infrastructure at $25,000 per lot, that doesn't make the houses prohibitive by raising it between 5 and 10%. In other words, you could go ahead anyway, but they might be a little bit more expensive, but I don't think it prices it out of the market, does it?
Well, I think you would then you would factor in the other considerations of the land, of the initial development and permitting and consulting.
Well, that's paid for. If it wasn't paid, if you don't pay for it, then you get a bump of 25,000, which probably could be absorbed. You know, I just sort of, I wondered if it really is a showstopper.
If this isn't approved this year,
yeah.
I think it's going to be much more difficult for this project ever to become a reality, for it to happen. And this is probably the one of the last pieces of land on Nantucket that is available and chosen for this very purpose. I don't know if we'll ever see another project like this on Nantucket.
Because this is a town-owned land.
No, it's not town-owned land. The Housing Authority owns the land.
Oh, okay.
So
how did they get the land?
That goes way back. That goes back to the 80s and 90s when town meeting approved that they would get the land, and they've been working on developing this for since that point in time.
So the town owned the land and then deeded it over, so it eventually goes back to the town, and we deeded it over to the Housing Authority.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I got it. Okay, now the other question that's going to be coming up at the annual town meeting was, I think, how you were constructed. In other words, who's on your board? Where does that stand now?
That is deja vu all over again. As you recall, Whitey, this was Article 70 last year.
Yeah.
And to change the CPC bylaw and the makeup of our committee, the FinCom overwhelmingly supported for that not to happen. And we had to present that to town meeting last year, and the voters overwhelmingly supported the status quo, to keep our committee the way it is.
Now I understand that what is in debate here is if members of your board have to, for instance, from the land bank, if they're appointed by the land bank, do they have to be a land bank member?
Right.
And right now they don't have to be a land bank member.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We were committed during this past year to put this issue to bed. And as you recall, the Board of Selectmen assigned your colleague, Bobby DaCosta, who sits on the CPC, to work on this issue. Well, Bobby brought in town council, brought in Lauren Goldberg. Lauren Goldberg sat with us in December and January and said, let's deal with this issue, let's make it go away, let's get to a compromise where we can all be comfortable with our makeup, with our bylaw. And Lauren crafted a bylaw amendment. We reviewed it and we unanimously supported it. And that was what was printed in the warrant. Well, unbeknownst to me and the balance of the CPC, a modification was presented to FinCom. We, the CPC, did not have an opportunity to see that modification, and FinCom supported the modification as it was presented. And if this modification is authored and approved, the makeup of our committee will be dramatically altered. And I'm not quite sure why Lauren, which I understand crafted this one as well, why she didn't contact us and say we're changing this. You have to understand the state statute calls for 5 members, okay, that have to be there.
Right.
There's 2 at large. I'm an at large. I'm elected, and then there's 2 designees.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the state statute that says 5 sitting boards have to be there.
Yeah.
Okay. When we established the CPC 10 years ago, one of the 5 sitting boards that the state said was the historical commission.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have a historical commission 10 years ago. Our local bylaw said, well, we do have an HDC. Let's substitute that.
Yeah.
That made sense. The HDC has been with us since the very beginning. One of the other designees, the Board of Selectmen have a designee, and the Land Bank has a designee. What the bylaw is looking to change is looking to insert now the Historical Commission, which I understand there is a Historical Commission on Nantucket. I don't know who's there and if they're a functioning board, but they're looking to substitute Historical Commission for our HCC representative, and they're looking to substitute a sitting member of the Land Bank.
Yeah.
And if that goes through, then we lose our chair, who's been with us for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real downside.
Yeah.
So we lose 2 significant members who have been with us really since the beginning.
So I get it.
Okay.
So it gets kind of complicated.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And we're very disappointed that this has been raised again. We thought the issue was put to bed last year with Article 70. We certainly thought it was then really put to bed when Lauren and Bobby crafted a modification that was acceptable to our committee and that we unanimously support it.
Yeah.
And now we're dealing with it all over again.
Okay, it's deja vu all over again.
It's deja vu all over again.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting the signal that we've gone our 15 minutes. We don't want to have too much.
We're running out of tape.
Yeah, we're running out of tape.
That's good.
Okay. But thank you very much.
Thanks, Whitey.
And I appreciate
Thank you
coming in.
All right, appreciate it.